Shalom. Kal halalim la Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rakak Kodash. Double honors to the apostles, elders, elder bishops of Great Millstone, and Shalom to the 144,000. Okay, and 1/3. May peace and blessings be on your households. Once again, double honors to the elders, apostles, elders of Great Millstone. May they rule well. Who rule well? Salakia. Right. If you're not familiar with Charlie Kirk, I don't know whether it was him or somebody that looked like him several months ago that was mocking some Issacharite Jakes about keeping. He's just making fun. You know how Jake does. I mean, not Jake. How Esau does. Esau's a scumbag, and he was mocking these Issacharites. Something along the lines of, I was trying to find the footage, but for some reason I can't find it. But something on the along the lines of keep the attractive Latinas in America, send the ugly ones, and send the men back to Mexico. You know, but nevertheless, I think it was him. All right, but he is a right-wing influencer. Now, before I play the news footage, I just want to give you what's the difference between right-wing and left-wing politics if you're not so familiar about that particular topic. Left-wing politics typically emphasizes equality, social change, and a strong government role in the economy and social welfare. Okay, which basically means a level playing field for everyone, jobs, enough to live on, and maybe go on holiday once a year, and a safe, healthy, so-called environment, which people assume this world is not healthy in any shape or form. Okay, while right-wing politics prioritizes individual freedom, traditional values. And when they say traditional values, you know what comes in my mind? Ninjas being lynched, Edomite families looking at Jake being lynched in glee and happy, where they used to catch a train, send postcards to each other just to see a Jake get lynched in different parts of America and maybe even different parts of the world. Okay, but America at ground zero. All right. Traditional values and a limited government role that supports the private sector. Limited government role, they want to basically have more control over their areas. So, Edomite only areas, sundown towns and things of that kind of, on that kind of vibration. I mean, for the most part, this is just said in a so-called nice way, but we know what right wing means. We've been hearing that term a long time. And right wing, especially from a UK perspective, usually involves skinheads, swastikas, and a whole lot of racist language. Okay. The term originated in the French Revolution, with the left supporting the revolution, the right supporting the monarchy. Left-wing ideology often involves progressive policies, whereas right-wing ideology is generally associated with conservative principles and belief in individual responsibility. All right, now, Charlie Kirk, right? Where's the damn footage? All right. Now, we all know what Esau has in terms of technology, whether this is real or not. It's all Yahweh B'Hashem Yashai. The Lord controls everything. All right. And the Lord can take you out, because Esau, the so-called white man, takes out his own people just to create a certain agenda and to push the water in a direction where they want that water to go. Problem, reaction, solution. And all these things where they're making Jake the face of terror. They're making Jake, when I say Jake, I'm talking about the Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian. They're making Jake the problem. They're saying Jake is the so-called violent people. They're terror. They're the T words, terrorists. All right. They're the problem, and they're a violent people. Whereas America was created on violence, and the blood is soaked right in the soil, into the, ingrained in America, man, with the blood of millions, if not billions, of Israelites. All right. Now, before I go off into a tangent, I'm just going to play this. And obviously, this is going to push the race war, Jacob's trouble, Jeremiah 30, verse 7. All right. Because people are going to come up in arms. People are going to be using Bible quotes, which they have no understanding. And then many Edomites are going to use this. And you're going to have these Edomites, these crackers from different parts of America putting crosses around their neck, putting Charlie Kirk in their mind. Oh, he's trying to help us, blah, 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 and all that kind of shit. They're going to get armed up to the teeth. And these little skirmishes, these little incidents are going to keep happening. And they're going to keep putting brown and dark brown faces on the camera, dreadlocks, and, and they're going to choose these faces specifically. So it's like a caricature of a Jake. So they can go after Jake. So this race war can, as they say, get cracking, right? And, because the way the world is right now, these Edomites are getting bold, very bold, in the UK, different parts of the world, and in America. Because Trump is like some kind of figure for the Edomites here in the UK as well, of salvation, where they want that Trump-esque kind of environment here in the UK. They want troops here in the UK as well. All right? And not knowing that guy's a damn demon. But nevertheless, we know which direction this is going to go. This is going to go towards all-out warfare. All right? It's going to be combat on the streets of America. All right? And this will trickle over into other parts of the world. All right? Because a lot of these right-wing individuals are connected via social media. They have groups that are interlinked. All right? They have British versions, American versions, probably German versions, Swedish versions. Wherever there is a whole bunch of people of color, these Edomites see it as a problem. All right? Anyway, let's play it.
Charlie Kirk was shock in the US after a prominent right-wing activist, Charlie Kirk, was shot dead while addressing students on a campus in Utah.
Actually, yeah, that is him. Now see his face. Yeah, he was the one that was mocking the Issacharite Jakes. I think they were brown berets or something along those lines. And he was saying to them, keep the beautiful Latinas, the attractive Latinas here in America, and send the men and the ugly Latinas back, something along those lines. All right?
Video footage showed Mr. Kirk, a close ally of Donald Trump.
I'm just mentioning that because that's where I first saw him. And now, obviously, we know what he's about. All right?
Speaking and then slumping down in his seat. Charlie Kirk was credited with...
And it's not the only thing he's done, okay? I'm just mentioning that because this guy, even though he's some kind of political figure, all right, they think of you Jakes as a joke, all right? They use so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian women. Basically, he was just saying, keep these women here because they're good for fun, but send the ugly ones back and send you so-called Hispanics, Latinos, and more than likely, he probably said the same thing about everyone that's of color, and mainly aiming at Jake. And that's not just the only thing he's done. There's a multitude of things that he's done, but I'm just touching on where I've seen him and where his face rings a bell. All right. When I initially first saw him, obviously we know of him now, right?
Video footage showed Mr. Kirk, a close ally of Donald Trump, speaking and then slumping down in his seat. Charlie Kirk was credited with persuading young voters to support Donald Trump ahead of his election and was known to be close to the president and his family. In the last few minutes, Mr. Trump took to social media to confirm that Mr. Kirk has died. From Washington, Nick Beek has the latest.
It started just like any other university event that Charlie Kirk has done, on the road to becoming one of President Trump's most prominent supporters. But soon after he took to the stage, this.
Oh my God.
Go, run! A single shot, and Charlie Kirk slumps to the floor, blood pouring from his neck. Panic on the Utah campus, a scramble for safety.
I was watching from pretty close up, and I heard a pop, and I thought, no, that nobody's shooting firecrackers, right? This is the middle of the day. And then I watched a fountain of blood come out of the side of his neck like a water fountain, and it was surreal.
President Trump soon posted this message on social media. We must all pray for Charlie Kirk, who has been shot. A great guy from top to bottom. God bless him. 31 years old, one of America's most recognizable conservative activists, whose full-throttled support for Donald Trump has supercharged the MAGA movement. His regular appearances drawing crowds and both support and criticism. Today's event in Utah was part of Charlie Kirk's so-called comeback tour. Eyewitnesses said he was asked about gun crime in the USA.
A student went up there and asked Charlie Kirk a question about how many transgender shooters there had been in U.S. history. Charlie Kirk answered, the student gave him a rebuttal. And then Charlie Kirk goes to pick up the microphone to answer the second question, and that's when the shots went off.
An activist whose voice had been heard far and wide.
If you can see, it's just a sea of Edomites, all right? A sea of Edomites.
Never finished his sentence. Far and wide.
Went off.
An activist whose voice had been heard far and wide never finished his sentence. Charlie Kirk had been credited with bringing huge support for President Trump, particularly among young Americans. And it was the president who broke the news of his death. He wrote on social media, "The great, even legendary Charlie Kirk is dead. No one understood or had the heart of the youth in the United States of America better than Charlie. He was loved and admired by all, especially me, and now he is no longer with us. Melania and my sympathies go out to his beautiful wife, Erica, and family. Charlie, we love you." And we have heard that Charlie Kirk's wife and children were in fact at the university when he was shot earlier today. He was someone who invited everyone onto campus and encouraged this debate. Conservatives loved this approach. He was attacked by liberals. Tonight, though, there is this universal sympathy for him. Tributes are being paid from across the political divide, across the political spectrum here in the United States. This, of course, is the latest episode of political violence. President Trump himself, the target of 2 assassination attempts last year during the election campaign, and it will once again reignite the debate over gun control in this country. It's worth pointing out that this state where it happened, Utah, is a place where you can carry a loaded weapon in the street without a permit. Tonight, Rita, crucially, we're here.
Now, you've got to catch the words as well. Utah, all right? Now, I'm not too familiar, because I was raised in the UK, so I'm not too familiar with the gun laws in each state, all right? Because America is such a huge, vast land. Now, Utah, you can carry a strap without a permit, okay, a loaded firearm. Now, with this happening, what do you think is going to happen to firearm laws? Okay, it's going to take a hit on that as well. And what do Edomites always say? You know, you can take the firearm out of my hand through, how did they say it? Through my cold, dead hands. All right, so it's going to take a hit on that as well. All right, so there's going to be more red tape, more hoops you've got to jump through to acquire a firearm, you know. But let's just see how things play out. There's many angles to this scenario here. Many angles. You know, there's many different. They could use this situation to a great advantage. All right, now Esau's going to amplify this, and this is going to kick off a whole bunch of things, man. You know, especially in the last 24 to 48 hours, they've been showing Jakes with dreadlocks. You know, that they're making Jake the face of terror, and they're showing them deleting Edomite women or what look like to be Edomite women. You know, blonde hair. You know, young. You know, then they show Jake with dreadlocks. You know, And what do you think these Edomites are saying, sitting in their homes amongst themselves? You know what they're saying, right? The N word is probably coming out more. They're probably saying the N word more than NWA, man, in that household, all these Edomite households. Fuming. Along with Esau feeling that they're losing their power as well. And some of these Edomites, their daughters are dating Jake.
Hearing that the gunman without control in this country once attempts last year during the election campaign, and it will once again reignite the debate over gun control in
gun control.
This country. It's worth pointing out that this state where it happened, Utah, is a place where you can carry a loaded weapon in the street without a permit. Tonight, Rita, crucially, we're hearing that the gunman is still at large. They are on the run.
Well, let's see if they ever catch him, and if they do catch him, whose face they put. All right, who they're going to use. Okay. So it's good to see if I can get anything out of this from the Guardian. Anything? Charlie Kirk, 47. 47, 11, 11, 11. What's that? 33. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 11, 11, 11. Yeah, 33. They've got to chuck that 33 in there as well. See how the hats are strategically placed, how they catch the footage. Camera. 33.
To my great fellow Americans, I am filled with grief and anger at the heinous assassination of Charlie Kirk on a college campus in Utah. Charlie inspired millions, and tonight all who knew him and loved him are united in shock and horror. It's long past time for all Americans and the media to confront the fact that violence and murder are the tragic consequence of demonizing those with whom you disagree day after day, year after year, in the most hateful and despicable way possible. For years, those on the radical left have compared wonderful Americans like Charlie to Nazis and the world's worst mass murderers and criminals. This kind of rhetoric is directly responsible for the terrorism that we're seeing in our country today, and it must stop right now. My administration will find each and every one of those who contributed to this atrocity and to other political violence, including the organizations that fund it and support it, as well as those who go after our judges, law enforcement officials, and everyone else who brings order to our country. From the attack on my life in Butler, Pennsylvania last year, which killed a husband and father, to the attacks on ICE agents, to the vicious murder of a healthcare executive in the streets of New York, to the shooting of House Majority Leader Steve Scalise and 3 others, radical left political violence has hurt too many innocent people and taken too many lives. Tonight, I ask all Americans to commit themselves to the American values for which Charlie Kirk lived and died, the values of free speech, citizenship, the rule of law, and the patriotic devotion and love of God.
And you know who he's speaking to, right? Edomites. Okay, patriotism, what Charlie Kirk stood for, freedom. He's speaking to them good old boys. The ones that say "yeehaw." Those. That like to yodel. Those Edomites. All right, a couple of scriptures here. Ephesians. Ephesians 5 and 15. See then, excuse me, see then that ye walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise, Verse 16, redeeming the time because the days are evil. You can feel it in the air. You can feel there's a thickness in the air, an evil vibration. You can feel it. All right. And the days are evil. Okay. You know, we're watching our apostles, we're watching our prophets, we're watching our teachers, and they are analyzing things sometimes we don't catch. All right. And they break it down through the scriptures, and it just fits in your mind, your spirit, like a jigsaw puzzle. And you get complete transparency, and you can see which way the world is headed, because we are coming to the rise of Yasharala, man. We're coming to the return of Yahweh Shai, you know, Barakati Yahweh Bashem Yashai. The Lord is returning soon, and Esau is going to try everything and anything, or anything and everything, to try and hold on to their power. Okay, if somebody's trying to take, if you're going to lose your power, and you know that to have those bright sunny days again, like these Edomites used to have in the 50s and maybe in the 1850s or whatever, and to have that back again, you know, these crackers like to watch cowboy movies like Tombstone and all that. They think that, oh, I want those days back. I want to go back to the Wild West. You know, they want those days, those simple days of Little House on the Prairie and fucking Huckleberry Finn and all that bullshit. They want that back. They're gonna fight tooth and nail. All right. They're going to fight tooth and nail. And Jake is going to get caught off guard. All right? Okay? And these are just the regular folk I'm talking about. How much more will the troops, the super soldiers, martial law troops, the police, right? Their technology, those robots and robot dogs and all that, right? Verse 16, redeeming the time because the days are evil. Verse 17, wherefore be ye not unwise, but understanding what the will of the Lord is. Okay, verse 18, and be not drunk with wine, wherein is excess, but be filled with the Spirit. You know, so, you know, you got to be wise, you got to be vigilant, all right, because the days are evil. You don't want to be overtly drunk every single day, you know, literally, all right? Now, there's nothing wrong with having a drink, you know, you work hard all week, you got like a day for yourself or an evening for yourself. And nothing wrong with drinking, you know, a couple of glasses of wine, or you want to have a couple of beers, you want a couple of shots and get nice. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you're doing that every single day, you're going to get caught off guard. All right. And if you're one of the Lord's elect, right, the Lord will let you know through the Spirit saying, you know what, calm down, Jake. You know, take it easy on the drink. And the Lord will let you know. And you'll know through the Spirit that, you know what, I'm doing this in too much of excess. You know, you got to be filled with the Spirit. All right. And be not drunk with wine, wherein is excess. Now, you got a lot of people out there, a lot of Jake that on that lean weed, smoking weed constantly. You know, they're saying rap music, they smoke kush like crack. You know, they're drinking all the time. You know, they're very rarely sober. And when they get caught off guard, they're sleeping in their deep sleep, in slumber in their house, and the doors are kicked in, and they're high as fuck. Yeah? They're not going to know what to do. All right, these 2/3 are going to get caught off guard. People in general are going to get caught off guard because the times are evil, and it's going to go towards Jacob's trouble. And Jacob's trouble is trouble for the heathen and the 2/3, man. But the elect are going to be all right. Verse 18 again, and be not drunk with wine, wherein is excess, but be filled with the Spirit. All right, verse 19, speaking to yourselves in psalms and hymns and spiritual songs, singing and making melody in your heart to the Lord Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai. All right, right. Read, if you can sing, you know, you can sing to the Lord, man. You know, you can read psalms to yourselves. You know, me personally, I like to watch videos of Manatazak Benyamin. You know, the brother from the elder brother prophet. You know, from Bay Area camp. He makes excellent videos and sometimes incorporates beautiful spiritual passages, you know, and it's a spiritual song. You know, you can listen to that when you're working out, you can listen to that when you're driving, you can listen to that in the morning, and it uplifts you, you know, constantly in the spirit. And if you're one of those Jakes that's constantly watching, you know, movie after movie, and you're not really in the spirit. Me personally, I start watching a movie, within half an hour into it, I pause it and say, man, you know what? I need to watch a lesson. I need to pray. You know, that's just me. All right. Now, there's nothing wrong with watching a movie. I'm just saying, but your mind should be on more spiritual things. I would say at least 90% of the time, you know, or at least most of the time. speaking to yourselves in psalms and hymns and spiritual songs, singing and making melody in your heart to the Lord. Verse 20, give thanks always for all things unto God and the Father in the name of our Lord, or our other one, Yahushua HaMashiach. All right? Okay? So be careful and vigilant, man. Let me get one more scripture. Be careful and vigilant. Adversary, the devil. Be careful and vigilant, the adversary, the devil, King James Version. First Peter 5 and 8. First Peter 5 and 8. Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about, seeking whom he may devour. All right? You got to be sober, literally sober. Be vigilant. Keep your head on a swivel. All right? Be wary where you go. Do you really need to go there? Is it necessary for you to go there? All right? There's nothing wrong with going out, of course. All right? But if you're in the mindset of going to clubs, now, if you work in a club as a bouncer or a security, that's different. But if you're going to the club every Friday and Saturday, like it's 1995, you got to pull your finger out and say, you know what? I've got to stop this shit. All right? You go where you need to go. Now, there's nothing wrong with going out. Nothing wrong with going out. But you got to be sensible where you go. All right? You got to be thinking spiritually. All right? And you got to be staying prayed up whatever you do. All right? My phone chimed in for that. You got to stay prayed up whatever you do, man. Whatever you do. When you get up, when you leave the house, when you're about to work out, when you're about to go for a walk, you know, when you're going work, you know, before you eat your food, you got to be very, very careful, man. Keep your head on a swivel, man. Be very circumspect. First Peter 5 and 8 again. Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about, seeking whom he may devour. And Jeremiah 30 verse 7 is Jacob's trouble, and it's coming. All right? All right? We can see the mathematics in this, man. Spiritual mathematics. 2 + 2 = 4, right? And we can see which way it's going. All right? So this is just another nail into Esau's pride, and Esau, the so-called white man, is going to get down very, very soon, man. All right? Because they're getting tired of you, Jakes, man. Especially, you're getting tired of your 2/3. All right? And especially when they're hearing about slavery and Edomite guilt and a real historic truth, you know, about history, you know, who the Israelites are, who salvation is for. Everything's coming together, building up a picture that Esau is a nobody people. And these crackers are going to fight tooth and nail. All right? This is probably one of their damn saviors along with Trump. Crackers are going to get down. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. So be vigilant. All right? And watch out for the next couple of days, coming weeks. Maybe more things will pop off like this. Keep your eye on the news, you know, pick the meat from the bones, and stay prayed up, and watch our elders and apostles of Great Millstone, all right, and our prophets, you know, and watch attentively, all right. This ain't no game show. This ain't no movie, all right. Watch and learn, man, and stay prayed up. And you got to pray in the name of Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai. Shalom.